Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I am delighted to have our guest here and I will bring her in a moment. But first, I must say hello and catch up with my producer, the bad boy of podcasting, Tony Thaxton. Hello.
Hello, Alison.
Ooh, I thought you were going to leave it at Al and then you did the whole name. Thank you.
I like to keep you on the edge of your seat.
You know what though? I feel like I need to get, so for anyone who's just tuning in, it's recently come to light that I don't love the nickname Al. I think it's from like scarring from being called Big Al sometimes as a young person. And yet I can remember a swim teacher like lovingly calling me Al, but I just heard Big Al. But there were some real Big Als. But anyway, so it's come out recently that like I don't love the nickname Al. And then Tony, because he's a rage monster, has been starting to call me Al more because he knows it gets under my skin. But I was thinking about it. I think I need to just be a person who accepts all nicknames. Because, like, if you meet someone named Lauren and they're like, don't call me Lori, then I'm always like, okay, uptight. Now I feel like I got to walk around on eggshells around you. And I feel like I'm coming off as like a Lauren who hates Lori by saying, I'm not into Al. Right, Tony?
I mean,
that's classic Lauren behavior.
I see what you're saying, but also, I mean, yeah, I am doing it just to, get a rise out of you.
Right.
But I'm doing it in fun.
Yeah.
But like, also like, who cares? Like, if somebody calls you a nickname, like, unless they're calling you like a dumb bitch or something, like, of course nobody wants to be called that. But
I
like,
love
if
it.
it's just like,
I like it. When someone calls me dumb bitch, I'm like, oh, you feel close to me. Allison's your new best friend. I'm just saying, certain people are prickly about certain nicknames. Like, I think Daniel, a man that I married, who went by Dano when he was younger, feels weird about. Oh, you know what he specifically doesn't like? He doesn't like Danny Boy.
Danny Boy. All right. I'm going to make a mental note of that. Right.
Al and Danny Boy. Yeah, I just feel like, we're 3 years into the pandemic at this point, or however long it's been. Before we started the show, we were all talking about how, truthfully, we all feel a little bit like beat up by life right now. And I just think I'm not going to heap onto that directions about my name. You can call me Al, just like the song. It took a couple weeks, but you can call me Al.
Yay. Yeah, it's been extra rough lately. Like, any motivation is getting harder and harder. And I feel like I've just been like extra irritable this week. Like, all these little things are just pissing me off way more than they should. And I'm just like, something's got to change here.
Yeah. There was an exposure in my kids' preschool, which there luckily hadn't been up till now. So they've been home for a few days, but everyone got, like, the whole school got tested and everyone's okay. So, that's the weird thing about this variant is that you hear that it's so contagious, but I know so many people where like only one person in the family got it. I don't know. You know what though? You know what's going to turn this all around, Tony?
I know exactly what you're going to say, because I was literally thinking before we started today, I was like, I'm glad this is our guest
Me
today. Because
too.
as I was just saying, it's been an irritable week, and this is the perfect person.
I think she's here to be the salve for all of our collective wounds. It's actress, writer, comedian, podcast host. You know her from, her credit list is so long. We'll definitely get into that, but just a few, so you know her because she's been on my show a bunch of times, but she's also been appearing on the comedy Ghosts, and so many people who listen to the show are like, did you know she's on Ghosts? This silly thing that I do, the thing that Al does is I don't say the guest name until right before I bring them in, as if someone doesn't already know, as if they haven't looked at like the artwork or they haven't seen the title of the show. Anyway, please put your hands together for someone I'm so excited to have on the show, Betsy Sodaro. Yay!
Oh. Thank you.
It's a lot of pressure for you to just turn the whole thing around.
It's too much pressure.
So let me just go through a few more of the credits that I was going to say before. Okay, so Ghosts. Duncanville, Bob's Burgers, everything related to UCB, another period. And then she hosts the podcast A Funny Feeling and We Love Trash. But really, I just selected like a few of your credits. I was looking, you've been working steadily since 2010. Is that right?
Yes, something like that. Isn't it wild?
I mean, maybe even earlier. On IMDb, it like I scrolled back and I just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I was like, okay, I feel like this started around 2010. You probably were working steadily even before that, though. Congratulations! Yeah, that's like That's a very hard thing to do, to be getting steady work.
It blows my mind all the time. I constantly am like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm like making a living doing this. Like, I'm so
cool.
blown away constantly. Just like, whoa, I'm in Hollywood and it's like going good. I'm truly every single day. I'm like, whoa, man.
It's not surprising though, I think, because you're super funny.
Yeah.
Everyone loves you.
Oh my God,
you're like super
you.
delightful to be around always. Not to sound like a kiss ass today, but it's just true.
I was thinking one of the wonderful things about Tony Thaxton is that he has brought so many awesome people to the show, and you are one of the people that he recommended. And I was like, yes. And then you've just been such a delight. So thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
I know it came up on the show that you guys like went to Disneyland together, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was on my birthday. Yeah.
On your birthday, yeah.
But
we went to Disneyland.
Remind me how you met. Was it at Disneyland? Like together in a group?
Yes, we looked across on Mr. Toad's wild ride.
We're like, you seem fun.
No, I did. I told stories at her old improv
Bangarang,
show.
right?
Yeah.
Bangarang, the improv group she was a part of.
Yeah.
And, I did that a few times, and that's.
And we would like go and hang out after, and it was just like, cool. You're great, man. And just became friends.
Yeah.
I told stories at oh my God, what are they called?
ASCAT.
No, I think they're even called theme park improv. It's Janet Varney and Cole from Sketchfest.
Stratton.
And there's like a whole bunch of them, and they're great. Are they called theme park improv? Because the irony is, I was going to say I told stories at their improv, and I never ended up at a theme park with them.
That should be like, you have to.
Yeah, I feel like
You
that's
have to end up at a theme park with them.
the minimum. So when did you realize that you wanted to be a performer, Betsy? I know this is what I know. You're from Colorado, right?
Yes.
You're the youngest of 4 sisters.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't really have a taste for sweet snacks. You prefer salty. Other than that, you're a mystery.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So growing up, I've always loved doing theater. My dad is actually a children's playwright.
Oh, cool.
And has been ever since I was a child, before I was born even. And so I grew up doing his shows and just loved it so much. And then I just kind of, towards senior year of high school, I was like, how do I get on SNL, man? That classic, like, okay, I gotta get on Saturday Night Live. So I feel like in high school, I was like, I remember my parents after, I think it was Grease. I was the principal in Grease. And I remember my mom and dad, and they've always thought I was funny and stuff. No, I was the role of the principal.
Oh. I mean, you meant like a principal performer in like the lead.
No, God, no. All of high school and most of college, I was like, can I get like the one smallest, funniest part where I don't have to sing or dance?
Right.
And it worked out pretty good. But I remember after that, like my parents being like, Betsy, you're like really good at this. And then I was like, thank you. I want to do it for the rest of my life. I want to try to do this. So I've always been into performing and stuff. And
that's so cool. So your dad is a children's playwright.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? That he writes plays that are performed for kids?
Yeah, pretty much from like kindergarten through 12th grade. And he was an 8th grade English teacher also. And then summers he would just write all the time. And like it's wild, his plays are published constantly and like all around the world.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. Like I have sisters all over all over the country, and like there were a lot of times where they're like, Dad, the local high school is doing your play, I'm gonna go see it, and stuff like that, which is pretty fun.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up with 4 older sisters?
It was pretty cool. It was weird because like my oldest sister is 10 years older than me, so I feel when I started to actually become a fun human, like around 6, and when I started kind of learning that, like how it was to be a person, she was already going to college. And so it was kind of weird, but to be like, yeah, I have an older sister, but I don't see her often.
Right.
But we've recently, in the last like 10 years, have gotten really close, which has been fun. And we will just be like, wow, isn't it so nice? We're like friends now. Because it was like a huge chunk of our lives. We just kind of were ships passing in the night, where it was like a Christmas or a summer break quick thing. And kind of same with because it goes me, and then the closest age to me is 6 years older, 8 years older, and 10 years older. I was a little accident, or a surprise.
Yeah.
No, a surprise.
It could be both, an accidental surprise.
Exactly. My mom got everything removed after me, though. Okay. She was like, rip it all out of me so we don't have to do this again. So it kind of was the same with the second oldest. It was just kind of always that. Where it's like, I don't really know them that well. But then as adults, we've gotten really close, which is awesome.
Did it feel like you had a lot of parental figures?
Kind of. Or, I guess so, yeah, because like when I was a kid, when I was like a baby, there were already 3 kids who could watch me and take care of me. So it was just kind of like, but I got to like glide through life, and I'll like mention something to my sisters about like having no curfew or something. And even to this day, like they'll get so pissed and just like call my parents out and be like, how come she didn't? They were like, we were tired.
You get broken in. It's funny. Like my sister is 4 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
And I feel like we were basically allowed to do things at the same age. So I got my ears pierced. I had to wait till I was 12 or 13. And then she got hers like, a couple months later.
Yeah.
And even like, I don't know if she would care. Even so I would be in college and then she would come and like hang out for a weekend. So she, I was smoking pot or drinking or whatever. And she also was at that age. Like she did all her things kind of at the same time that I did.
Right. How did you feel about it? Were you just kind of like, yeah, cool, whatever?
I think I was, because I was like, oh, like another pal to, twist our little stud earrings or whatever we were doing. But I do think the ear piercing thing a little bit, I recognize that this is not fair that I had to wait to a certain age. And why does she get to do it so much younger? I do have a question. This is going to be such a weird question because essentially what I'm saying is, how do you get close to a sibling who's like many years older than you? But so I have 2 older brothers from my dad's first marriage who are 11 years older, and they lived with us till I was about 3. And so for a long time we were really close when I was like their kid sister. And I mean, I still am, but then for many years we weren't really that much in touch. And then now as adults, I often wish I was closer with them, but it's sort of hard to get that kind of closeness that you have with someone that you see all the time, because it really is like just holidays or just special occasions. And I think like like I feel like if I lived near them and if we were seeing each other on a regular basis, so there was more to relate to than just that, this thing from our childhood, or let me just tell you the latest thing in my life. If there was like a current thing. So how did you get close again with your sisters?
So with my oldest sister, she lived in LA when I first moved here. She had been here for a while. And so that was gigantic for us, and she was in Santa Monica at the time and I was in Hollywood. And so I would sometimes go and spend weekends there.
Yeah. You need that.
Yeah. And it was really cool to just like, truly, we were just kind of like, so what are you into? Well, me too. Like you kind of have that, like almost when you're meeting trying to make a new friend or something.
Right.
To just be like, okay, we have one thing in common. What else do we have in common? And it really, like, I feel lucky because I was able to, like, in my 20s, get to see them a lot and hang out with them a lot and kind of figure out who we all were together, because it is like you gotta make moves to go hang out with them,
right?
Which can be very hard when you have a lot of other stuff going on.
Right. Yeah, that's nice. And what's your mom like? So your dad does children's plays. What about your mom?
Yes. My mom, she's awesome. She's very funny and doesn't mean to be. But she also can crack jokes, but she also just says and does stuff constantly that is really just funny, man. Just like there were many times in church where where we would just, she would just make me laugh so hard and we'd have to leave and go like to the cry room because we were laughing so hard. One time she fell asleep in line waiting for communion and I had to like nudge her hard. Like I nudged her once, nothing happened. And then I had to nudge her hard to wake her up. And I was like, what is it? What just happened? She's like, I just fell asleep. Like, she kind of reminds me of Rose from the Golden Girls, but not like dumb, but very sweet and like just positive and fun. And she loves Sudoku and like riding bikes and we used to go ice skating, cross country skiing a bunch together. We would play a lot of card games, including that one where you slap on like doubles and stuff.
Oh, what is that?
Called?
For a second, I was thinking war, but that is a slapping game, but that's not.
Yes, it's like you just, and she's very competitive, and she would hit the shit out of me with her wedding ring on. And I was like, you're using that hand on purpose because it hurts. And she's like, no, I forgot. I know. She's fun. She's cool. She's very fun.
What is a cry room?
That's in a church where it's like a soundproof room where there's a speaker of what the priest is saying, but babies can be in there and crying and losing their minds and stuff.
Tony, did you know about this?
I'm so sorry. I was writing a note as you asked me this. I don't know what you just asked me.
Betsy mentioned the cry room at church, and I said, what's a cry room? And it's a soundproof room where you can hear a speaker of what's happening, but like you can take your baby in there. And I was saying, did you know that there's a thing called a cry room?
No, I had no idea. I've also spent very little time in churches.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Betsy,
lucky. I hated it.
Was your family religious?
Yeah, Catholic. And my parents are still going, even though they're like, we don't know. They're like, there's a lot of bad shit with them. I'm like, yeah man, stop supporting them. But yes, raised Catholic, started really not believing pretty quick, and just it was so boring. I hated church so much. It was so fucking boring. I hated it.
Did you do CCD?
Yes. I got kicked out in 8th grade.
Ooh, for what?
Because the woman who ran it, who was just an awful, awful human being, said I flipped her off. I did not. But they kicked me out, and apparently she had to go to her husband and children to ask which finger was the bad finger. And my parents are like, Betsy, be honest. Like, we understand you do not like this woman. Did you flip her off? And I was like, no, I promise. Like, I would tell you if I did. And my parents are like, we believe you. Let's just, they're kicking you out. You don't need to go back. I was like, thank you.
What a break. But I feel like that is in bad faith, no pun, because that's like saying you used a bad word. Hey, you guys, what are some bad words? Mm-hmm. Like if she doesn't know which finger it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was the type of Christian that is not doing what they say they're doing. You know, she's not practicing what she's preaching. She's just screaming at you, and she's being a monster. And there were a lot of that was a huge red flag for me, where it's like, I see too many people using this as a stupid justification to be mean to people. I'm out of here. You know,
mean, like strict to kids, or in general, she was just a mean lady.
Mean to kind of in general, just a mean, like bitter, like she looked like an old time. She would dress like an old lady, like school teacher, you know, where the school's one room, and like her collar was super high. Her hair was super tight in a bun, long, weird skirts. Like, just kind of like, what is going on?
Have you seen Pete's Dragon, perchance, the original?
I haven't in years.
I think that there is a school marm who fits this description in that movie.
That, you know, I probably saw that and I was like, hey, that's that lady. That's the lady from church.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you pretty early were like, these people are not practicing what they preach. That suggests to me, do you feel like you had a sense of self pretty early?
Yeah.
That's
Fortunately,
so how do you do that?
I don't know.
I recently, I shared on the show, this girl that I went to school with, who I haven't been in touch with in years, was like, hey, I was going through some old letters with my kids, and we found this letter from you, and I thought you might want to see it. And it was like this 4-page ballpoint pen letter I'd written her when I was 14. And I was like, I did not want to see, like, encountering who I was at 14, even though I kind of knew, was just traumatic. It was traumatic to relive how much I was trying so hard to be someone that I was not.
Yeah. Well, I went through a big phase of that 7th and 8th grade. And probably 6th grade. Honestly, probably all of middle school, where I was trying so hard to be cool with whatever that meant. And I was like, I even kind of like stopped doing theater because I was like, no, only sports. But the whole time being like, but I like doing why can't I do everything? And I had a really, really hard time in 8th grade where like I lost friendships because of how I was acting. And I just found I was like kind of bullying kids because I was so insecure. And I remember like after 8th grade that summer being like, oh, I don't ever want to be like that again. I gotta just be myself, and I gotta just have fun and be nice to people, you know, because I was so worried about like, well, I can't be seen talking to this kid who does band because they're not on the basketball team, which is the coolest. Like,
hey, now be careful.
You nerd. But it sadly was kind of that, where it's like kids who play sports are cool, theater is lame, like shit like that. And it was a tough time, and it took like me losing friendships and stuff, and me being like, but I like hanging out with that person, but no, I can't because these people will think that's weird. And it really messed me up, and I was so unhappy and sad that around like 9th grade I was like, I gotta do my thing and be myself. And it got so much better. And I was still wonky, of course. I'm permanently wonky, but like it got so much better.
It's a really hard time. I've talked before. Like I had a period of, it really was 6 weeks or something, but it felt like the entire year in 7th grade where all of a sudden I was just like shunned by the other kids. I was never cool, but I had a set of friends and all of a sudden I was like the outcast. I mean, maybe it was from like, I don't know, sometime in May to when we graduated school got out in June. So it really was a short period of time, but it affected me so deeply. Yeah. Like so deeply. I feel like that is just socially, especially with girls, I think that age, 7th, 8th grade, 6th grade, that is such a tough time.
It's so hard.
So you deciding that like I can only be seen talking to sports people because those are the cool people. Was anyone saying this stuff or was that just sort of what you had like assessed from being in that school?
I think it was from what I assessed. And also I think it was in my insecure mind. You know, I've been really and I'm working on that. I've always been very much as though like I think I can read minds of people kind of, or that's a thing that I've been working on is like, you can't read minds.
Right.
So but I didn't know. And like I said, I truly have just been working on it in like the last 2 years, being like, Betsy, you can't read minds. It's okay. Like they don't hate you. They're talking to you and they're being nice to you. They like you, even though I'm like, I think they fucking hate me, man. And so I could see, I think it was really in me, my insecure little head just being like, oh, if I talk to these people, then I think it was a lot of it was coming from
insecurity,
from inside the house. Yeah, as RuPaul puts it, the call is coming from inside the house.
And you said you lost friends from you bullying them. What happened?
Not even bullying. I think some bullying, and by I would like to say I never was like. No, I think I was mean to people. But that was all insecure. Like I would make fun of people, cause I was so insecure with myself. And and then I think a lot of people also are just like, we don't want to hang out with you if you're going to be trying so hard to be like, no, I'm a skateboarder too. Like I had so many different identities, you know, where it's just like, and I was in that mindset of like, I'm sorry, only soccer players can wear Adidas. You know, that vibe. What an asshole. I was absolutely like that of like, hey, if you skateboard, you can wear Vans, but if you don't, take them off. And it's like, I don't do any of that shit.
But that's so at that age, for some reason, I feel like all of that is important. Like I think go to any school, any culture, that age, there's some version of that happening. I think. But I'm interested in you on your own around 9th grade, realizing you had to like dispense with all that and be yourself. Do you remember? Was there like a rock bottom you hit? I mean, I say that loosely, but still.
Well, I think it was, I think the rock bottom was almost all of 8th grade of like me being so unhappy, me being mean was so not who I was or am, you know, and I really didn't like who I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I was really, really sad the whole time. And I was like, I don't want to be like this. I wasn't like this a couple of years ago. And I guess this, and I'm going to give myself more credit. I think this was more subconscious of just like, I guess I was kind of like, well, what was I doing before when I was happy? I'll do that again.
Right.
And I feel in my 8th grade
you were wearing
mind,
Vans and Adidas back then.
Yeah. One on both feet, one on each foot, man. But yeah, I was very much just kind of like, I don't like who I am. And I was really sad.
Were any adults aware of what was going on? Were you talking to them at all about this?
I guarantee my parents were. they're good. They know, they know everything. They knew everything. But also they're very, they come from that generation of we don't talk about stuff.
Mm.
And whenever I was feeling sad or sick or anything, I would be like, I'll write them a note. like I lost when I got my period, I fucking freaked out.
Mm.
Truly for like 2 years. I was every time it happened, I was like, no, like what? I'm dying. And I remember I got it and I started losing it. And I went for like a 3-hour long walk being like, how do I tell my parents? And then I wrote a note to them and they're like, oh my God, why didn't you just tell us? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't know how you would react, I guess. I don't know. Like,
they're like, you're the fourth daughter.
Yeah, we know.
This happened. We know.
We got everything. Here's a kit. There you go. We'll do it all. But like, they had to have known. Because I was different. I was treating them like shit. And I didn't really do that ever,
I also... Wait, can you say more about losing it when you had your period? Because I also, could not deal with it and take it in stride for, I feel like, years. Like, every time I would get it, I was just like, I can't.
Same. Yeah, I would sob.
Yeah.
Whenever I got it for, honestly, probably, truly a year and a half whenever it would start. I would get so sad because I was also, believe it or not, a big tomboy. And
you're so girly now.
Boobs, yeah.
It's hard to imagine.
I've changed. I'm wearing a gown right now.
The gloves are a nice touch.
Thank you. All the way up to the elbow. I'm a lady. But getting boobs and getting my period was just the worst. Because I was like, oh my God, all of my friends who are boys are not going to want to hang out with me.
Oh,
Once
boy.
Again, jumping to that mind reading thing. And they could give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I freaked out, and just that idea of ew, I'm a woman now. Ew. And, even the thought of somebody calling me a woman now, I'm like, no, call me a lady or a girl, please.
Yeah. For me, I always, I read teen magazines and young adult books, and there were always these older teenage girls that I admired and wanted to be like, and I wanted to wear makeup, and I wanted to do all the girly things young, I always wanted to be older. So I thought I wanted my period because that would mean I'm older. But somehow I didn't realize, Tony, you've been scarred by far worse, but we're about to get into some period tech. I thought it was I don't know I thought you get a couple spots in your underwear, then you're a woman and that's it. And then you go to prom or something. I didn't realize it's a week-long situation that is uncomfortable and that you have to deal with. So it was the mechanics of it. I've always hated pads. I find them to be very uncomfortable. So I couldn't do that. Tampons freaked me out. So I'm well, I'm just going to stay home from school and sit on a toilet and feel sorry for myself. I couldn't. Sometimes as an adult, I'm like, look at me handling this like it's no big thing.
Same. Where I'm like, wow, I'm on top of it today. I should be. This has been happening for a long time.
I know. I do that too, yeah.
I had no clue how intense it was going to be. It was so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Just being that's all the blood in my body. It has to be.
I know.
This is crazy.
Yeah. Do you get cramps? There's a little bug flying around me in case anyone's wondering why I'm going nuts.
Get it. Actually not crazy. Once in a great while I will, but nothing too bad. I have friends where it knocks them out.
Right. Debilitating, yeah.
And I have never really had that, which
in that way, you are lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. So what town in Colorado are you from?
Breckenridge in Summit County. Yeah.
This town.
Yeah.
Okay. So you grew up in Breckenridge, and then where did you go to college?
I went for I went for a semester in New York City at Manhattan College.
Oh, nice.
And I hated New York City so much. It was so not my vibe. Still is not my vibe. Everybody's walking too fast. And just like, it seems like everybody's unhappy. And so then I transferred to Western State College of Colorado. It's now a university. Like, I think the University of Western State Colorado or something like that. In Gunnison, which is in southwest Colorado. Teeny tiny school, like 2,500 students. And it was a blast. I had so much fun there.
And so, yeah, that sounds like very different than school in Manhattan.
Yes. Yeah, it was a million times different. Like, because the Manhattan one didn't even have a campus, of course.
Oh, so you just lived in an apartment?
Yeah, like
That's
an apartment.
A lot for an 18-year-old.
It was great. And I went being like, okay, I guess I'll go to school here, but I'll get SNL probably in like 2 weeks. So I'll be fine. Like, I truly was just like, yeah, go to college in New York, get on SNL. There you go. Like, I truly thought that. And then it was like, oh, this is so hard. And it was a school where it was very much like, I remember in my acting class them being like, you probably will never get on stage. And I was like,
oh my God.
Wait, but I came here, like, that's all I want to do is I want to just do weird, fun plays and stuff. And then in Western, I was doing plays constantly, and it ruled.
Did you ever audition for SNL? Well, you probably did not audition for SNL in your one semester there, right?
No.
Okay.
I did showcases here in LA, but I know, no. It started, it kind of like, I kind of realized pretty early on in my comedy, when like my comedy career was starting to really go, that I was like, oh, I don't think it's not my cup of tea. Like, I don't think I would do well there. It seems,
what aspect of it?
It seems, I think I would maybe have a heart attack, like the anxiety of it all, and just like hearing about the schedule and just the like mental games that are played there.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't handle. And I have friends who are on it and who are some of the chillest people I know. And they're like, Betsy, it's intense. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't think I can handle that.
I've had Bobby Moynihan on the show a couple times, and he told me that, have you ever read Jay Moore's book, Gasping for Airtime?
Yes.
He told me that at the first many years, he would like read and reread that book.
It's so intense of just, and I have a lot of panic attacks and I hate them. And that idea of just like constantly being on edge, makes me like, I'm like getting woozy thinking about it. Like, what a nightmare way to live life, you know?
Right.
I already was kind of living it on a little smaller scale of constantly being like, am I going to freak out? But just having it be like career or not, but work stuff. I couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to find out about after college, and then I'm curious if you moved here right away and sort of like what your first, how you started working so regularly and what your gigs were and stuff. But first, I want to tell you guys about Imperfect Foods. How about a 3-for-1 New Year's resolution? Reduce food waste, save time on grocery shopping, and eat more fresh and delicious food. Think it's too good to be true? Think again. Try Imperfect Foods. So Imperfect Foods is a grocery delivery service offering an entire line of sustainable groceries that taste delicious and reduce waste just by embracing the natural imperfections in food. Just earlier today, I was filling up my shopping cart for this week's delivery, or I guess it'll be next week's delivery. They give you a window of when you can start shopping. And I just I don't know why, but for some reason I just love scrolling through and looking at all the produce they offer. And then oftentimes below the produce, it'll say why they have it. So it'll be like, apples, small, or like pears, too large, or heirloom tomatoes, like mottled, or what, so all the food is like, it's perfectly good. It's just for whatever reason, or it was like, surplus, or for whatever reason it arrived. It's like well, no, it's not. I was going to make a shelter pet kind of thing for your produce, but it's not. But for whatever reason, it's like perfectly good food, but it essentially got booted from the grocery store because it maybe has like a little imperfection in it or something. But then they have all this, they have like a lot of dairy, and they have snacks, and they have sweets, and they have a bakery and drinks and all this other stuff. It's a really great service. Right now, Imperfect Foods is offering our listeners 20% off your first 4 orders when you go to imperfectfoods.com and use promo code Alison. Again, 20% off your first 4 orders. That's up to an $80 value at imperfectfoods.com. Offer code Alison. When you use promo code Alison, join the movement at imperfectfoods.com and use code Alison. And I also want to tell you guys about Bombas socks. They are my favorite socks. They make me angry at any other kind of socks I ever wore prior to knowing about Bombas socks. They're really comfortable. They look really good. They're really smart. They have they hug your foot, basically. They have this arch support that makes them so comfortable. It's soft, seamless, tagless. And by the way, not just socks anymore. Bombas has socks, shirts, and underwear to be the clothes you can't wait to put on every day. Soft, seamless, tagless, luxuriously cozy, made with super soft materials. And then they have like a really simple, straightforward mission to make the most comfortable clothes ever and match every item sold with an equal item donated. So when you buy Bombas, you're also giving to someone in need. Go to bombas.com/bestfriend to get 20% off your first purchase. That's Bombas, BOMBAS.com/bestfriend for 20% off. Bombas.com/bestfriend. Okay. So tell me, Betsy, did you come to LA, right after college?
I did not. I actually went to Sacramento, for a year and worked at an improv and sketch theater there. I was a little scared. I didn't know if that was what I wanted to do, to move to LA. I was like, LA is like huge. I don't know if I can handle it. And so I was like, hey, Sacramento's in California. Cool, man. It's a whole different California. And so I went there and I had so much fun doing shows. It started out like doing a show a month, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. And then we started doing like weekly improv shows. And I was like, oh, yes, I love this so much. And I met one of my best friends in the whole world there, Tony, not that Tony, but Tony knows Tony. And
okay, yeah.
Yeah, Tony, Charlene. And after like a year and a couple months there, we're like, let's move to LA together and go to UCB, because that was when like UCB was starting to become like the hot ticket, And so we moved out together, which thank goodness I had a friend, somebody here with me to kind of to go through exactly the same thing and be like we both had just like shitty jobs, but we're like, hey, as long as we can pay for classes, that's why we're here. And it was awesome. It's been, as soon as I moved here, I was like, oh, I love it here so much.
Oh,
I don't want to live anywhere else. Even though the first year was extremely hard financially and stuff, it was still just like, this place rules.
What kind of crappy jobs were you working?
I worked at Target for a while. That sucked.
Was it the Hollywood Target?
What?
Was it the Hollywood Target?
It was the La Brea and Santa Monica one.
Ooh.
Wait,
big time woof, dude.
I don't even like.
Wait,
go
right? Is that
being
by
near that one even?
By? Oh my God, I'm not by Beverly Center.
No, it's
Yeah,
It's
that's
by,
a
like-
Hollywood. It's under like you park underground,
Yes,
right?
you park
I
underground.
hate that Target.
Me too. It
It's
sucks.
awful. That's the Hollywood one. That's what I refer to as
Yes,
the Hollywood
okay.
Target.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It sucked. Somebody stole my backpack.
Oh.
And it was like in a locker for work and somebody took it. Just sucked so bad.
Yeah.
And then I worked at it's now like the Giardelli I don't know, restaurant right next to the El Capitan. But when I worked there, it was some like Disney soda shop thing.
Oh,
And
I vaguely remember that.
Do you remember? And it sucked. Believe it or not, it sucked. And at the same time I was working there, I was working at Universal Studios at the Backdraft exhibit.
Did that suck too?
That one was actually pretty fun because I got to talking to a microphone and then I just got to push buttons and like fire would happen.
That sounds pretty cool.
And it was fun to like be at Universal Studios. Even though you're walking to your job or whatever, it was still like, man, look at all these families on vacation. This is awesome. Yeah.
So then when did you start getting jobs? Or how?
So after Backdraft and stuff, I got a really great job on the Sony lot with this company where their whole job is to like store sets and props and wardrobe and stuff of current shows and movies and stuff that Sony was working on. And so I was there for a couple of years. And during that time, I like got on a team at UCB and started to like kind of get more little job offers and stuff. And like, after my very first Herald night, Matt Besser was there and asked me to audition for a pilot for his for Comedy Central, and I got it.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was while I was still at Sony, and I had to like ask for a month off to be like, can I get a month off to shoot this? And they're like, yeah. They were so great there at Sony because they would like come to my shows and stuff, and they knew, they're like, you're here to do comedy, we'll support you, just do your job and you'll be set. And so it got to the point where more and more things were happening, and I was starting to like teach improv, and I was like, I think I can quit and just teach and try to book stuff. And I had saved up money, and I quit, and then I quit in October of 2011, and I like started getting jobs, and I booked a big pilot for NBC that next spring pilot season, and it got picked up, and it was kind of from there where it's like,
was that Animal Practice?
yeah, that was Animal Practice. We got 9 episodes in before the old Kane came across the stage and yanked us off, but it was incredible.
Was
That's
that
really
the
cool.
Justin Kirk show?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
with
vaguely remember
Crystal
that.
the monkey.
Yes.
We
Who
were.
did you play?
I played Angela, who was like a groomer and an assistant and stuff at the hospital. It was awesome. We had so much fun. Justin Kirk rules. We became friends, and we were just, there's a Simpsons joke about like a monkey doctor show, and we're like, we are living a Simpsons joke. This is awesome. Like, we were so pumped, and it was cool. And hanging out with Crystal the monkey is awesome.
What is she like?
She's so fun. Like, she would be sitting in a chair just
Tony,
like
let's get her on the show.
reading a magazine upside down, but like flipping through it. And we would just, all we would do is just watch her all the time, just being like, look at this cute little monkey just hanging out. An interesting thing is when she was in Heat, she really hated women.
Oh, wow.
And Tom, her trainer, was like, don't hug me or anything. She'll get mad. And there was one time where I went in for a hug, and she was just like, and like started losing it. And I was like, whoa, Crystal. Okay.
Wow.
But she's cool. She's really cool. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
So when I was Googling you earlier, I came across were you engaged to Drew Tarver in 2016? What is the story with that? Because I'm like, this can't be this. When I'm reading this article that seems like it was written by a computer, this cannot be real.
Oh yeah. One day I get a text from my mom, being like, "Ha ha ha!" Their friend Ruth, she was like, "Ha ha! Are you and Drew engaged to be married?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Our friend Ruth read it in an article," and so I immediately looked it up, and then I sent it to Drew, and we lost our minds. No, not at all. I posted something on Instagram, just a joke of like, it's a picture of me and Drew kissing in front of this really cool temple in Japan. And something being like, you asked me to marry you and I said no, or whatever. And I don't know who, I think it's truly just a computer being like, here's maybe some weird gossip. But so Drew and I, we kept hitting them up to be like, hey, we'll give you exclusives of our marriage for $25,000. And we even we went to Greece then a couple of years later, and we're like, let's take a picture of us kissing at a sunset, and then be like, hey, we're on our honeymoon. You want pictures of our honeymoon?
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah. So no, that's not true. We have talked about getting married just to then get a divorce and then be like, oh, I'm going through a divorce right now, with Drew Tarver.
And all the traveling you did, was he on the improv team too? Or are you guys just good friends?
We're just good. We do improv together. He was on a different team, but we've done a million shows together. We were on a sketch team together and stuff, but we're just good friends. And
it was the traveling, just traveling, or was that work-related traveling?
Just fun, just traveling.
Nice.
Yeah. We've gone a bunch of places together, like a bunch of places around the States, and then we went to Japan and England and Greece together. Hopefully more.
How fun.
Yeah. Rules.
I want to tell you guys about BetterHelp. And then we have some questions that listeners have sent in. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. BetterHelp wants to tackle some of the stigmas around mental health. You guys know I'm a huge fan of therapy. I think anyone who's open to it would benefit from therapy, and I pretty much recommend it for everyone. But many people think that therapy is just for other people. But utilizing therapy doesn't have to mean something's wrong with you. It means you recognize that all humans have emotions, and we need to learn to understand them, not to avoid them. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp Online Therapy. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/bestfriend. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/best friend. Okay, so I am on Patreon. Patreon.com/Alison Rosen. All sorts of fun rewards. There's bonus episodes of my podcast, The Friend Zone. I just did an episode with Allie Ward. Before that, Tony Thaxton. I did my Upworthy Weekly co-host, Todd Perry, and Betsy. I'm going to hit you up to be a guest on the Friend Zone one of these days. But tons of guests of my show have also been guests on the bonus episode, where you guys get to ask them all sorts of questions, audio and video. And then also there's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. There's you can submit questions for the guests. You can submit carbohydrates for the Thursday show. And if you sign up for an annual subscription, you get 2 months free. So it's 12 months for the price of 10. And we have some questions for Betsy.
Questions from our fans.
All right. Lee Bruns wants to know, will her character on Ghosts be reoccurring, or was that a one-episode deal?
I'll be back.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is Ghosts about? So many people are loving it.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's really exciting. I've never, even though I'm not like a regular or anything, but I've never been a part of a show that almost immediately became a hit. Like,
so
it's
cool.
really cool. And I feel such a, like, special, rare thing. So it's about this couple who buy an old house to do a bed and breakfast, to like make it a bed and breakfast. And the woman falls down the stairs or something, hits her head, is in a coma for a couple of weeks, comes out of it, and afterwards can see the ghosts who live in this house.
Oh, cool.
And so
of which you are one.
She's like the middleman between her husband and the ghosts. And yeah, it's cool. It's fun. It was a BBC show.
Oh, nice.
Before.
Now, is that the show that you were filming when you were in Atlanta?
No, that was a little movie for Netflix. But this, it's in Montreal. I got to go to Montreal a couple of times, which ruled.
Isn't it funny how not everyone, but some people moved to LA for the entertainment industry, and now everything is elsewhere.
Everything is everywhere else. It's wild. It's anytime, like, if I like am making a show or something or sold a pilot or whatever, it's constantly like, okay, where can we shoot it that's not Los Angeles? Because it's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I had no idea.
Lori says, did she go to see Alanis Morissette at the Hollywood Bowl? I think I saw her and wanted to say hi, but I chickened out.
Oh my God, I did. You should have said hi. Come on.
Next time, Lori. I know. Whenever I hear people say, like, was that you at da-da-da? I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, no, you should. You don't understand.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it. Just don't yank my arm.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, Betsy. Like, that's happened a couple times where it's like, don't grab me and yank me to say hi. Like, just say hi.
Right.
But yeah, please say hi. The next
no
time.
yanking, yes highing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes hi, no yanking, please.
Lisa Lowry, first of all, let's get drunk and get California Raisins tattoos. And my question.
I might get that bell. Have I talked about that on this?
You talked about it being perfect comedy.
Yes, and you say things, and I quote,
the California Raisins are so cool. They are. They're the coolest. I might get the bell, Tony, the funny doofus bell. I'm seriously thinking of getting him tattooed on my leg.
I think you should.
I've had dreams about it. I think I have to get it done.
Do you have any tattoos?
No.
This would be the first one.
This would be the first one. I told my parents, and they're just like, what? And they know how much I love it. Like, we watched it. I was there for Christmas. We watched it like 3 times while I was there. They know how much I love it, but they were just like, oh, okay, I guess it's your body. Do what you want. But they were so confused by it.
I support, and I also love that you call him the funny doofus bell.
I know. I was like, is that his official name? Funny Doofus Bell.
Funny Doofus Bell. So good. So good.
So Lisa's question, what was the worst job you've ever had?
You know, when I was in 8th grade, I was an umpire for like Little League baseball and softball, and that sucked so bad. Parents are so mean.
Yeah.
And like they would scream at me, and I would turn around and be like, hey, I'm in 8th grade. I'm getting like $20 a game. Chill out. Your kids suck. Like, I was so it sucked. That sucked. And then of course Target, that one little cafe by the El Capitan, those sucked so bad.
Tony, what was your worst job?
I've had some bad ones. Which one did I like the least? Probably my first one, honestly. I worked, it was short-lived, but I worked in an amusement park, near...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in Richmond, when I lived in Richmond, and, they had, on paper, this sounds fun.
Yeah.
Because it was an amusement park, and this was 1995 or something, and this amusement park was owned by Paramount at the time, and they had a Wayne's World section.
What?
Like a Wayne's World world?
What?
Wayne's World word.
Yeah, and I
Can't say
worked
it.
in Stan Mikita's.
Oh
And it
my
was,
God.
yeah, sounds great.
It
but
sounds
it
like I
was
got
terrible.
chills when you said it.
What was so
that
bad
sounds
about it?
awesome.
Well, it was, dealing with customers and a
Oh.
food service job, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
people complain about everything, complain about how much everything costs, and
Of course.
and then I remember there was a jukebox in there that didn't it just like had songs that played like
Yep.
you couldn't really use it, so
Oh.
it had like 8 songs that played on repeat,
Oh.
and just the people were terrible, and yeah, it was.
Were there
was
rides in Wayne's World?
Yes, there was a couple. There was one kind of like spinny ride that was called Dreamweaver,
Good.
and then there was a roller
Good.
coaster called the Hurler.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's so. Oh my God! And it doesn't exist anymore.
the park is still there, but the Wayne's World part is not there anymore. I don't know
Oh,
what's in its
man.
place now. I believe the Hurler still stands, but it has a different name.
The Love Guru World.
What's that?
I don't think it's owned by Paramount anymore.
Shoot.
unfortunately.
What's
Yeah.
the name of the theme park?
King's Dominion,
That's a good name.
Yeah.
just outside of Richmond. I believe it's Doswell, Virginia.
Wow.
You know what's a good name of a city, I think? Isn't there a city in Pennsylvania called King of Prussia? Or maybe there's a mall. Maybe it's
There,
just a
that
mall.
is.
Maybe it's just a mall.
I know there's a King of Prussia mall.
Yes, I've
I
definitely
think
heard
it's
of
in
that.
King of Prussia.
Whoa.
What a crazy name. And I'm
Silly.
associating it with Bam Margera. Like maybe he's from there.
He's from Pennsylvania, I know. I don't know.
So maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let me see.
Whoa.
Let's
King
find
of
out.
Prussia, Pennsylvania. What's your shittiest job?
I'm trying to think. I worked a temp job and I only lasted 2 days. I was working as a freelance writer at the time, and I don't, the whole experience made me like run screaming back into the arms of freelance music journalism, which is what I had been doing. And I felt like it was getting formulaic. So I gave my resume to this temp company, and they called me and they're like, we think with your journalism background, this would work really well for you. And it was at a PR newswire service where the actual job was people would write in. So it was like, email blasts, and people would write in asking to be removed. And so my job was removing them and then sending them a boilerplate email saying that they had been removed, because some law had just passed saying like you couldn't spam people or something. So it was like critical that we remove them. But
Whoa.
they had this software that we used, and it was very, very slow. And so there was like 5 of us, and only one person could be doing it at a time. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, like before now I was like, where are the jobs that pay you to sit there and do nothing? And now I'm
Right.
actually being paid, like 14 an hour or something to
Yeah.
do nothing, but I hate it. And also
Right.
just the personalities of all the people. I mean, I like personalities of people, but these particular people, there was just so much weird, like politics. And I remember I asked a question, like, why do we do that? And she's like, don't ask too many questions. That's my advice. I'm like, this is very strange. And like this one girl had written N all over her chair in whiteout because her name was Nanette and she didn't want anyone to steal her chair, which I understand having your favorite chair, but it was just like, there was just a lot going on. And it was also I'm not a morning person. And it was like, you had to be there at like 6:30 a.m. or something. So I was just like, this doesn't work for me. So I quit. Yeah. And then I also worked at a coffee cart, and I did not love that. But really the reason I left that is because the job I wanted at Sam Goody opened up. So this is back when I was in high
Sam
school.
Goody. Oh, I love Sam Goody.
So Tony, did we find out if Bam Margera is from King of Prussia?
He is from Westchester, Pennsylvania, which is near Philadelphia. And you know what else is near Philadelphia?
King of Prussia?
King of Prussia.
Nice.
I definitely
King of
have. I
Prussia.
have some Bam Margera King of Prussia Mall story in my head. I mean, I can't think of what it is, but it's all bouncing around my head. Okay. Whitney C says, and we sort of touched on this earlier. When did she become the person she is today? Side note, my fiance and I say the hell yeah Betsy drop to each other literally daily. Will she give us a hell no now? Yeah, we might be the hell no.
Oh, yeah, okay. Hell no. Hell no,
Hell.
yeah. That's so funny. I mean, yeah, I guess we touched on it. Like, well, it's, and I would say, like, we're always constantly kind of figuring out who we are. But I feel very lucky. Pretty early on, I was like, oh, I like this person who I am, and I'm going to keep doing that, except for 7th and 8th grade. So I feel, pretty lucky and my parents always have been like, yeah, you're a good person. Keep doing you, which is very lucky. Like, they were never, ever trying to force me to be anybody I was not,
That's so great.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, you mentioned panic attacks earlier. Is anxiety something you still struggle with?
Yes, I will say it's been chilling out, knock on wood, because I have a really great therapist and have been just putting the work in. I also, though, haven't been in situations as much that would make me have panic attacks and stuff. But yeah, I guess was diagnosed when I was 18 when I came
panic
home
disorder?
from New York because I thought I was dying.
Oh, my God.
And it was constant panic attacks. Like, I was like,
wow.
something's wrong with me. I'm afraid to eat. I'm afraid. I got really, I became a really big germaphobe after while
ahead
being
of your
there.
time.
Yeah, truly. Like, and I talk about that in therapy a lot, where it's like, I was like, everybody's now doing what I've been doing forever. I gotcha. So that, like, became a huge germaphobe when I was living in New York, but I once again wrote my parents a note when I was 18 being like, something is wrong with me. I don't know what it is. I had like lost a lot of weight, and my parents were like, even like, what's going on? I was really sad because I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling myself. And then the doctor was like, oh, you have like really bad anxiety and you've been having panic attacks. And then when that was like I had like a big moment of like, oh my God, I've been having these all my life. I always thought it was just me getting sick or something, but I had like these moments where it's like, oh shit, when we were watching the birds and I started freaking out and thinking I was going to puke or die or something and had to leave, that was a panic attack. Or like, oh, when we were out to dinner that one time and I was so afraid that I was going to get sick. A lot of it stems from getting sick ever since I was a kid. So I think I've always kind of been a little germaphobe and a little like on edge where it's like, what's wrong with my stomach? What's going to happen?
Right.
So yeah, when they diagnosed it, I was like, oh, that's what so many of these things have been. And then I started taking some pills and that chilled them out. But I've had a couple of pretty big ones, not in a while, fortunately, but here in the last couple of years, like some pretty big ones that have knocked me out for a couple of days.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Have you ever, and by the way, if talking about it starts to make you feel like uncomfortable, we can totally change the subject.
Okay.
But I'm curious, like, how does it relate to performing?
So fortunately, there was one time in college where we were doing this play called Fuddy Mears, which I can't remember. I might get this incorrect, but the main character's mother has had a stroke. I played the mother, and her language is all little off. So fuddy mirrors, I think fuddy mirrors was fuzzy mirrors.
Oh.
So like
Right.
the mom's lines were in that language, but then also translated so you knew what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So there's a part in that where I had to sit on stage, but in the dark while a bunch of other stuff was happening. And I started to freak out. And I started to kind of the beginnings of a panic attack to where I was like, what do? I need to just walk off. I need to leave. It'll be fine. They'll figure it out. Even though I knew like the lights were going to come up soon and I was going to have to do this part. But I started just really being like, okay, I think I have to maybe just get up and leave. Oh my God, what if I like end up just pooping and puking all over the stage? What do I do? But then the lights came up, snapped out of it, did the show, felt good. And fortunately, being on stage, I feel almost the most calm.
Mm-hmm.
Even if my nerves are there, as soon as I'm out on stage, I'm like, oh, okay, I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel
I'm the same
good.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. And there have been moments like UCB or where I have been like anxious all day and kind of like on the verge of a panic attack, but then I step out on stage and I'm like, oh, it goes away. Like, which is very nice. I fortunately have not, there hasn't been a time where I've had to step off, which feels good. There have been some times where I've been so anxious that I personally was like, I'm not performing well and I'm in a bad funk on stage, but everybody else is doing great. So all I can do is just be like, hey, everybody's doing great. It's fine. I'll be better in a little bit, but yeah.
Do you consider yourself an introvert or extrovert or neither?
You know, I've been thinking about that because like I've heard people talk about who I've thought were extroverts being like, I'm such an introvert. And I'm like, what? Maybe I don't understand what either of them are, because I feel I've always considered myself an extrovert, but I do like being by myself. I like having me time, and I also do get very anxious in social interactions a lot of the times.
I mean, maybe introvert and extrovert are simplistic terms, but my understanding of it is an extrovert like feels recharged and gets their energy from being around other people, whereas an introvert needs to recharge on their own. Like they can find it draining. Like I know that I wanted to be an extrovert always when I was young. Like I thought, like when I would take those Myers-Briggs tests, I would be like, how would an extrovert answer? But
That's so funny.
It's sad. But I definitely, as you know, the real me, I think I am an introvert. I think I like to perform and I like to be around people, but I definitely need to take a break. Versus like my sister, who is not in a performing capacity, if she goes for too many days without socializing, she begins to feel really antsy and she like needs to be around other people to feel like herself.
Yeah. You know, I think maybe I'm just a little bit of both, because sometimes it is like, yes, I feel so much better after seeing friends. Like, I always feel great after seeing friends, but like, sometimes it is, even with a bunch of strangers, I'm like, that was awesome. I feel good. But then sometimes it is like, I gotta just chill by myself and just do my own thing. I don't know. Yeah, like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think you can be kind of an ambivert.
Yes,
That's
yes.
both.
I'm an ambivert.
A little bit of both.
I'm vert fluid.
Do you have a Just Me or Everyone?
Oh, I have a Just Me.
Okay, hang on
Well,
one
I have
second. 'Cause-
two.
Oh, let's hear both of them.
Do you
and we
want to
have a
hear
little
both
song.
of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it just me or everyone?
Okay, the first one is, and because it's happening now, and it's been happening to me every day. Do other people just constantly cry while watching the Olympics? Because but it's good crying. It's like I'm happy for them crying. Like seeing people win, I'm like tearing up thinking about. Like I cry a lot during the Olympics.
Go ahead, Tony.
I'm just gonna say, not Olympic specific because I haven't watched 1 second of them, at least not this time. But it has been like a new development for me, honestly, in the last like 2 years of. First of all, cry way too much, but again, not like in a bad way.
Yeah,
I have found that anything that's like, I guess it would be like this, where it's if it's like a large group of people really excited or really happy about something.
Yeah.
It gets me. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm ashamed of some of the things that have made me cry in the last couple of years because I'm like, why is this getting me?
Dude, yeah.
So I feel you. It's like basically the same.
There was a Kettles chip commercial that made me sob. This was like, I think when like pandemic was in its, really going nuts, and we were still just like, what is this? And there was a Kettles chip commercial that kept playing, and every time I would just start crying because I was like, I love those chips, first of all, and they were like, we're like good for the environment, and there were a lot of cute little like, it was animated. I just lost it.
I need to see this commercial.
I gotta look it up. It was really good. Do you cry, Allison?
I thought, no, that's not me when you first said it, and I haven't been watching the current Olympics.
Right.
But what Tony was saying about like when it's a group of people all kind of experiencing emotion together, at the beginning of any musical, I do find myself crying, and I'm like, what? It used to just be when it was emotional things, it would make me cry, but now it's just the communal thing that makes me cry.
Yep.
Yeah. It's for me, it used to be the emotional, like, has to be very sad for me to cry, but now it's truly just like mostly joy, like mostly just like, oh my God, they're so happy. And I just start losing it, which is a new development for me.
Right there with you.
Yeah. I think I've talked before about going to see Annie when my husband and I saw Annie on Broadway. We were in the audience. Actually, aforementioned Bobby Moynihan's wife was playing Grace Farrell. And so it was us and then just like only children in the theater. Yeah. But it started. And I mean, within a few, like the first minute of the music, I just started crying, and I was very surprised by my reaction. But I think Annie was just such a part of my childhood, the soundtrack of my childhood. And so I started crying, and I felt a little embarrassed. But I looked over, and my husband had tears streaming down his face too, and that made me feel so much better.
That's the best. Where you're like, okay, we're all in this together. Let's cry.
Totally. Wait, you said you had two.
Oh, yeah. And then this one, which has been not really a new development. I love cold Kraft mac and cheese. Like leftover right out of the fridge. I pop a little hot sauce on it. I love it so much.
My kids, that is not just you. My kids have mac and cheese every now and again. And so then it'll be in a Tupperware in the refrigerator. So the other night, I'm like, I need a few bites of that. And I went in and it was cold and it was so good. Now this was not Kraft. It was Annie's, which is very similar.
Yes, Annie's is great too.
And it was the shells. Oh, because Annie's makes a few different types. I feel like the white kind, when it's cold, is not as good, but this was the yellow shells or orange, and it was so good.
I have a box of Annie's in my cupboard right now, and I might make it tonight.
Yeah.
So good.
I haven't had Kraft mac and cheese in a long time, but I remember always thinking it was very delicious.
It rules. Like, I've, like, fancy mac and cheese from a restaurant,
Yeah.
I'm still like, I'd rather just have Kraft.
Yeah.
Like, give me that orange powder, please, and just butter. Like, I love it. I love it.
Tony, where are you with Kraft mac and cheese or with mac and cheese from a box?
It's been quite a while since I've had it. I like it, all right. I do love mac and cheese in general. But I do actually kind of prefer the nicer, fancier one. But I'm not
Okay, all right.
Oh, you like your truffle mac?
Yeah, you and your top hat and your cane and your monocle. All right.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Peanut.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Peanut.
I don't know the last time I had Kraft. I will say though, I would not be on board with the cold. Though.
Okay.
I'm kind of not a big it's a weird sentence, but a lot of cold food in general. I'm not really a cold food. I won't do that with I'm not a cold pizza guy.
What? Oh, see, and I am.
good.
Like, I'm pumped for leftover pizza
Yeah.
straight out of the fridge.
Yeah, I'm not I don't think it's gross.
Right.
I've done it, but I would not try. I'm it'll take a couple minutes to heat this up. I'm fine with. I'd rather do that.
Okay.
But even cold food, even cold cuts. I'm never I'm never buying cold cuts and making a sandwich.
Really?
Are you a sandwich eater? And what are you putting in your sandwiches then?
I don't really make too many sandwiches at home. I don't think. Every now and then, maybe certain even some cold cuts. If I buy
You heat 'em up?
like a pastrami or something. Make a pastrami sandwich and heat it up.
Well, that's a sandwich that's typically served warm. Well, I'm
Sure.
trying to think would you ever have a turkey sandwich? And what temperature would that be?
Yeah. Well, I'm never gonna do that by choice.
Okay.
I-
Whoa.
I have feelings on turkey that are. I don't not like turkey, but I find it boring.
No one is
I could-
passionate about turkey, honestly. And I
I think you gotta
eat it.
just cover
but-
it up with a bunch of slop.
Exactly.
Just-
If I'm having turkey, it's it's really more about the mashed potatoes and gravy that are going with it.
yes.
Yeah.
I get
I could
that.
easily, but even that, it's still all about that. I could go the rest of my life and never have turkey and not think twice about it.
What about tuna salad on a sandwich?
No, I just keep that tuna salad out of my face.
What about chicken salad?
No, any sort of salad.
Whoa.
Not sandwich, but what about macaroni salad? Potato salad,
I don't mind potato salad.
even if it's cold.
Yeah, I'll have that cold.
Okay.
There's a few exceptions, but mostly, mostly want to. Even if I go to a sushi place, sometimes certain rolls are have cooked
chill?
things in them.
Okay. Yeah.
I tend to go for those more.
Wow.
Aren't I just so fascinated?
Oh
Yeah.
my god. What about
I'm kind of blown away with the sandwich thing still.
Yeah. And what about would you ever have a bagel with smoked salmon on it and cream cheese?
Yeah, not too often, but yeah, I'm not above that.
Do you want that hot?
If it's that specifically, no, that doesn't need to be hot.
I really need to ask you more questions. This
Although
is turning into-
maybe the bagel itself toasted.
Okay, that's acceptable. Tony,
Yes.
do you guys remember when Cynthia Nixon made the news for her bagel order in New York? And it was lox, cream cheese, onion, tomato on a cinnamon raisin bagel?
Yes.
Ew.
So this was before you were doing the show, Tony. But the way I don't know if we ever did snack chat this way with you, Tony. But have you been on the show when we've done snack chat in person where we've all tried a certain thing?
I think so. It's been quite a while.
Yeah. So we
Obviously.
we made we made the Cynthia Nixon bagel and then we tried it.
How
And
was it?
It wasn't the worst thing, but it definitely, I was like, why is there cinnamon and raisin on my lox bagel? With these
I don't want
unusual,
cinnamon raisin to begin with. Even
No.
with
Me neither.
unusual combinations, I'm always thinking / hoping maybe the flavors will come together in some unique new way, like
Right.
putting bacon on a cupcake or something. And then I'm always like, these are disparate flavors in my mouth. That's how I felt about the bacon maple cupcake, and that's how I felt about the cinnamon raisin salmon.
Yeah, I don't like the bacon thing on. Yeah, the bacon maple stuff. Like,
Right.
not into it.
Yeah, I feel I've always just been like, nah.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I don't want that.
Tony, you have not.
Snapchat.
Thank you.
I feel like you were calling for that.
We've not heard the end of you and your warm sandwiches. I think I've run out of questions to ask to get to the bottom of this now, but we will revisit.
Okay, I mean, I think every very now and then it might happen. Like sometimes, like on tour, like we would in our dressing room, we might have some like
Sandwiches.
Some like pastrami and whatever, and I'll make, like I say, just because it's there and it's easy, and I don't have a lot of time or something. But,
Right.
like, I don't ever buy that stuff like at home.
Got it.
Yeah.
Ooh. Do you like a big Italian sub? Oh, I want one. I might
It's not
get
really. It's not really what I go for generally.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
never
do you
find
like a
myself-
meatball sub?
Oh yeah,
That's
Oh
hot.
yeah. Oh,
or
Okay.
like a oh my god, a cheesesteak.
yeah.
from King
I
of
like
Prussia.
Cheesesteak. Yeah. I like. Oh, I do have an update on
Oh,
King of Prussia
great.
for you, related to Bam Margera.
Thank you.
In 2007, he got engaged at the King of Prussia.
Yes,
That is great. That
I
is
knew it.
good. That's good. That's good.
So glad that bit of info, a tiny morsel of it, has stuck with me from 2007 to 2022. Okay. And Betsy, do you have a hey, go fuck yourself?
Yes, I do. I hate when, and it's always commercials, when they've turned like that Willy Wonka song and that Sound of Music song all like funky or serious sounding.
Yes.
It drives me fucking nuts. And they do it with those two songs. You know, they're like, come with me. I think I also just don't like those songs in general. I'm like, I don't want to hear them all like or I don't
Yeah.
know. I hate them so much.
They make them electronic.
Yeah. I hate
feel like
them.
there was a commercial that did this a couple years ago or even longer, and it was on all the time, and now I
Yes.
can't remember what it was.
With the Willy Wonka song?
Yeah.
Yes, it was, because I remember it was when I lived with Mono, because I would scream at him every time it was on. Just be like, I fucking hate this fucking commercial, man. I hate this song so much. And just really letting Mono have it. So, hey, remakes of those two songs that already suck and using them for commercials.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
That's good. That's good.
Betsy,
Yeah, go
it was
fuck
so
yourself.
nice having you on the show. Thank you so much for making the time to do this. Tell everyone where they can find you, what they should look out for. Obviously, they should go listen to A Funny Feeling and We Love Trash, but let us know where to
Yes.
find those, etc.
Oh yeah. Well, if it's all on my Instagram page, or I guess my
Yeah.
Instagram, just my Instagram. I'm at Betsy Sodaro, and there's like links and stuff to podcasts and everything. And yeah, check out Ghosts. I'm on a cartoon called Duncanville. All of the episodes are on Hulu, and season 3 is coming out. Yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah, check it out.
Awesome. You guys, if you like what you're hearing, please make sure to be subscribed or following or whatever it's called in your app of choice. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a nice review and click 5 stars. That helps out the show so much. And tell your friends and all that stuff. Listen to my other shows, Upwardly Weekly and Childish. Follow me on social media at Alison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. Tony, what about you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at
Tony Thaxton.
and Bizarre Albums, my podcast every Tuesday. Motion City Soundtrack Tour now in June and July. That's I think that's it for now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show?